The NFL stands for not for long.
Set, Sharga and Armstead. Roll out, Walker still running out. Looks to the left, wide open, Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Colin Thompson Show. We're going 1 to 2 a week right now. Really special guest today coming on. We're going to talk a little on the NFL draft, a little bit before my message to undrafted players, a little Reggie Bush news, which I know everyone's probably hearing about by now. You're not going to hear things from me first, that's for sure. But Paula Franetti is going to be joining us today. She's an Arnicare athlete, one of our main sponsors, the number one homeopathic answer to managing pain, cold and flu, allergy. They have a ton of stuff. And I've been so blessed to work with them. Again, hundreds of years of doing business. It all started with a flower for pain medicine and management. And I'm all for that. The older I've gotten, I've done all the stuff that helps you get rid of pain that's not made from a flower. And it's great for a second, but it's not good the next day. It's really hurt a lot of former players, and I don't want to get into all that. Everyone knows that type of world. It's a dangerous, not just athletes, but normal folks, right? Folks that aren't running into people for a living. Pain management is a tricky thing, and Arnicare has it down. Boiron Arnicare, they have it down, and they've been really cool. I've asked, they said, hey, can you send me these athletes that you work with that have these amazing stories? And Paula has an amazing story. 8 years ago, literally almost died in a car crash. She played point guard at Penn State back in the 70s. She's 68 now, and she feels like she's a better basketball player now than she was when she played back in the 70s because of, her mental toughness, because of the way she rebounded. She's a life coach. She's written a book that she generously sent to me, and we talk about this on the episode. Inspiration. She's an inspiration. And I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. Like, whatever you're into or whatever you like enjoying from listening to our episodes, Paula's just fantastic. Again, Paula Franetti is going to be joining us today. And like the impact Arnicare's had on her life, the way she can help people from a motivational perspective in the senior games, volleyball, basketball. Like, she is just, she's just a warrior and a great person, and one of my favorite guests we've ever had on. So unique. Didn't know what to expect, but I love that. And that's why I do I do enough prep to be able to have a conversation, but as little prep as possible so we can have an organic conversation. I've gotten great feedback from that over the years, and I appreciate everybody tuning into our show and all our shows here at Not For Long Media. It has been a great ride. It has been so much fun. We are not stopping. We are pressing forward, and we have something for everybody. If you're just listening for the first time, we have several shows here at Not For Long Media. If I try to run through them again and I forget one, I'm going to feel horrible, but go to notforlongmedia.com. You'll be able to look them all up. We have shows that range from 5 to 10, depending on the time of year, when it comes to numbers of shows, and great guests and great hosts. And I'm really thankful for our team behind the scenes as well, pressing the buttons and making things go, because without them, none of us are on air here chatting right now. So again, stay tuned for Paula Franetti. I'm going to give my thoughts on a few things here, and then we'll send it over. I'll be brief because I know you're sick of listening to me and you want to listen to Paula. So I want to start with this. The NFL draft is coming. I was an undrafted player 2017 for the New York Giants, and I signed a 2-year, $3 million or 4, I think. Let's see. I was undrafted player from the New York Giants. I signed a $4,500 signing bonus. I signed the normal 3-year with a 4th-year option for a couple $1 million, and I only made $4,500 out of that deal, right? The NFL, it is not guaranteed money. So it is a unique place when it comes to professional sports, where a lot of professional leagues, the money is guaranteed. So I guess I have a message for the undrafted players out there. You have a start in this league. This league is either a half to a third of the NFL is full of undrafted football players. Everyone makes a big deal around the draft. Everyone makes a big deal about the combine. But to the undrafted guys out there, you got a shot. It may not be as strong as some of those players that are going to get a lot of reps in front of you because they're a high draft pick, But eventually, if you can hang on enough and be on the practice squad and continue to show improvement and continue to get better, you're just as valued as a draft pick the minute, you kind of get over the reps and they're screwing up the playbook and maybe they're showing up late or maybe whatever that may be. Just keep doing all the little things right. Now, there is that pressure of an undrafted player. You have to do everything right. All the things that you can't measure, all the little things, all the details of showing up early and staying late and working harder, watching more film, studying with the playbook, being a leader kind of quietly in the background a little bit, waiting for your turn to lead publicly because that gets measured and valued too. So I guess my message to the undrafted guys is keep going. There's more opportunities now to play than ever. Do not stop. Outlast your group of people. And that's anything for business and whatever you're trying to do in life. Just outlast them. There's periods of time where I was out of the NFL for 2 full years playing minor league football. So go to those places to make it happen and go with an open mind and go with a spirit to improve and get better. When I was in the XFL, I made a decision that I was going back to the NFL while I was in the XFL. Everybody wants to go back, but guys would be leaving the building at like 2:00 after we get released. And I would just be like, I just won that day. Like the guys I was competing with be gone, right? They're going downtown or they're going home to play video games or grabbing naps so they can go out at night. And I remember being like, well, I got nothing else to do. My wife's not here. My family's not here. It's a weekday. We got a game in 3 days. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go to the weight room. So practice would end. I would eat a big lunch to refuel myself after practice. And then I would go to the weight room for an hour, hour and a half, couple days a week and lift hard more than I ever would in season. I know I'd get good enough tape, decent enough tape, but really the tape was I've already played in the league. So it's like kind of, I can do it, but I needed to improve vastly. So I took that time every day from like 2 to 4 to like work on all the things I needed to work on that I would also not, pull away from the game too. So I lifted heavy. I worked on my mobility. I worked on my agility, my endurance, conditioning, whatever it was, to get better. And that allowed me to roll into a training camp. And really that was the COVID year where I came to where I'm at now in North Florida, Santa Rosa Beach, between Destin and Panama City. And I took like 2 weeks off of no weights, just walking, running, push-ups, sit-ups, squats. Again, heart of COVID. Remember, we were making all these home workouts. Let my body come back to neutral and then hit the gas training-wise. And out of nowhere, look down at my phone in this very building I'm in now, in this very room, and I saw Matt Rule was calling with the Carolina Panthers. And I signed with Carolina 4 years ago this week. So I was an undrafted player, went to the Giants, emergency appendectomy, got cut. I played 5 plays and I thought I made it. I was horrible, I think. And I wouldn't even want to watch the film. I'd throw up. I was so scared and so nervous and a mess. Not what I thought I deserved to be on that field. I always wanted it, but the lights were really bright for me. I'll be honest. And then went to the Bears for a calendar year when I sat and almost had a meltdown training at Delaware Valley College. And I didn't know what to do with my life because I thought I was never going to get signed again. And long story short, after training at Temple and getting back in there with Dave Feely and Jeff Collins was really nice enough to let all the former players come back and train there. I signed with the Bears and I was there for about a calendar year. The day they traded for Khalil Mack, I got cut and was out of the league for two full seasons. It was tough, really tough. But got into media marketing, got into the finance world, got into calling plays at Temple, calling games at Temple. So I know it's a long-winded thing for the undrafted players, but I played in the AAF with the Birmingham Iron. Trent Richardson was our running back. Anybody remembers that league? The owner of the Carolina Panthers bought that league, and then he shut it down or the Carolina Hurricanes, rather. I think it's Dundon bought it and then realized there was no money in the league, and he shut it down. So I'm going a long ways to say that there's a crazy journey here. I met someone in the AAF at the University of Florida who was a recruiting coordinator. That's how I got into the AAF when I was chilling at the Guinness factory in Baltimore, taking a weekend off with some friends and having a couple beers. And he asked how I was in shape, and a couple beers in, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in shape. I'll be there in 2 days for a workout. Went and did well at the workout, made that team, met a connection in the AAF, connected me to the XFL. The XFL, they brought me in. I had a good enough tape. My connections in college with Matt Rule and that staff, they brought me into Carolina. I had a tryout there for training camp, made the roster. Rest is history. 3 years there in Carolina and then a training camp in Minnesota, and going to try to go one more year. So this will be year 8 if I get into the league. Undrafted player, tons of injuries in 2012. Doctors at Florida told me my career was over. So this was not supposed to be about me. I did not plan to go down this direction. I was planning to make it a nice, neat little clip here for undrafted players out there, but there's no neat little clip for undrafted players out there, guys. You need to be silent. You need to work your ass off, and you need to earn respect of people. And when you earn that respect, do everything you can to keep that respect. I'm not saying I did all that all the time and was perfect. I'm just saying that's what I've seen. The really good undrafted guys know the playbook, work their ass off, and they're always around. So be around. Listen, there's so much. I could talk about so much, but I did so much off the field to move my career along off the field too. And I squeezed every juice out of every single league I was in, every team I was with as an undrafted player, bottom of the roster guy. I can honestly say I did everything I could to maximize my exposure off the field while playing as best I could on the field. There's that trade-off, right? You can't be too extreme off the field, but media company, podcast, calling games at Temple for 3 seasons, NFL broadcast media boot camp, coaching high school football, working for a finance company, helping them with their marketing, working for my mom's company, helping them with their marketing, mentoring kids. Just go. I'm emotional talking about it because the end is near, sadly. Hopefully I can get one more year out of this league. I digress. So I'm not going to keep going before I get too emotional, but excited for the NFL draft this weekend. I want to really send over to Paula. 2 quick things from me. Let's see here. Let's make sure I got my right information here as I collect my thoughts before I move forward. Player to watch in the NFL draft that I'm really excited about, that I'm hearing great things about from my friends in the NFL, scouts, coaches. Peyton Willis. This kid out of NC State. I shot somebody a video that Baldy made. And I said, what do you think about this guy? This is a coach. This is a scout. This is a combination of a couple notes. Best linebacker to come out in a while. Okay, they're saying about this about Peyton Willis. If he's not missing an ACL, he's probably picked in the between from pick 10 to pick 20. Great mentality. Still lives and works on his family farm. Zero BS. Great mindset. He's missing an ACL, but it looks like there's a little management, a little self-care. He's going to be a really great player. This guy flies around. I mean, flashes. Reminds me a lot of Luke Kuechly, the way Luke would just flash. Like Thomas Davis, flash. I'm using Carolina Panthers here. Like these guys where they just show up. Shaq Thompson, they just flash quick. It's almost like they're playing running back, playing linebacker, and a lot of them played offense too, and they have those instincts. I know Shaq did in particular. But the linebackers can really run and hit, and this league now is all run and hit linebackers. They're not guys that are these big, like, A-gap pluggers like they used to be. I just think about Jeremiah Trotter back in the day coming down, bringing the axe. Like, man, like these big guys, they all move really well now. So keep an eye on Peyton Willis. He could polish and finish off sneak into the first round and kind of polish off a defense that's already really good, and they're maybe looking to add some depth in their later round pick, and they may trade back for him in a later first, and maybe get him early second. I don't know where he's projected. I don't do NFL draft stuff, not me, but this kid's going to fly around and make a bunch of plays, and I'm really excited about him. I know scouts and coaches are in the NFL too. All right, guys, I want to touch on one more thing, then I'm going to send it over to Paula. Bar of the week this week on the Colin Thompson Show, brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com. They ship fudge and sweet treats across the country. Mother's Day, send your mother some fudge and saltwater taffy. Shunk Gully, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. This bar is the perfect bar. If you're building a bar, if you need inspiration from a bar, restaurant, this is the spot. This place is incredible. It's a brand new building. It has the greatest gift shop in the world. I don't know if I've ever said that about a bar restaurant. It has the best view. It has awesome TVs, service, cold beer, the food, fried shrimp, crab claws, charboiled oysters. Their fries are through the roof good. They have beignet fries for dessert that are ridiculously good. Key lime pie, their fish sandwiches, burgers. Like this place is like, the menu's big but not too big. The bar's huge on multiple levels, but not too big. They have views looking at the Gulf of Mexico. It's pretty cool. Shunk Gully, too. There's a reef about a mile due south of the bar, so they name it after that reef. Shunk Gully has tons of history with people, boats trying to find out where they are, getting into Destin and Panama City. So a really cool spot between Destin and Panama City. Check it out. Unbelievable location. Right on the beach. Food and ambiance, 5 out of 5. Service, 5 out of 5. TVs, 5 out of 5. Beer's not on ice though, so 4 out of 5. If beers were on ice, it'd be a perfect bar to me. It is up there, folks. They have awesome dining that overlooks the water. Like they kill it with the high top tables. It's tiered right, like really cool. They have tents and bands and crawfish boils. And like they're all in, and it's a really, really great spot. So check it out. Shunk Gully Bar of the Week this week, brought to you by Fudge Kitchen, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. All right, guys, I'm going to send it over to Paula. Fantastic interview. What a great person. So generous to send me a book. Can't wait to read it this summer. Her book, Kenny Albert's book. And stay tuned. We're going to be going Mondays and Wednesdays here with podcasts coming out. We have a lot of great shows that I have banked with some great people. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Enjoy the draft tonight. Like I said, I'm not the draft guru. I'm not that guy breaking down these guys and going to film because who knows all this BS about this guy, his team wants to trade up and trade back and stay put. And we have no idea. That's all BS, guys. Don't get too excited about it. Just take it in. That's the best part about the draft. Just take it in. Put your phone down. You don't need to see the updates and tweets before they come in. Just enjoy it and enjoy the surprise of it. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you listening to my rant about an undrafted player. Didn't plan to do that. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy Paula. All right. Hey, Paula, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. How about you, Colin?
I'm doing great. And just like all the amazing guests we have on here, we were having a great conversation pre-recording, and I'm like, hold the phone. We got a lot to talk about. So we were talking about Pittsburgh, and there's some rain today in the Northeast, and this episode will come out in a couple of weeks. We're recording early April. But just health of athletes and your journey. We're talking football. We all have injuries in football. It is a part of the DNA. It's 100% injury rate, which is crazy.
Wow.
100%.
That's right up there with pickleball.
Here's the thing about pickleball. My wife's going to go crazy when she hears this. The thing about pickleball is this, and what's happening, and a lot of these articles coming out is pickleball plus 30% injuries, and everyone's getting hurt. The problem is people have been hanging out on their couch, not working out.
Exactly.
And then they go play pickleball, and then they blame pickleball. That's not pickleball.
I know. I actually, the latest article I read, it was a 90% increase from like 2021 or something along those lines. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. It's not pickleball's fault.
What's that?
It's not pickleball's fault. That's
no, it isn't. I mean, well, it's kind of like people get into it, too much in a sense, too quickly.
What are you doing during the week to supplement? So we have a kickball league here, and he won't even listen to this show, but my buddy Kurt, we joined like a co-ed league, and he's like, I was so beat up after kickball, and now he's in great shape. I said, you'll have no problem with kickball now, but before you'll have a problem with it because you're out of shape. So
right.
It's great to have you on. You're an absolute inspiration. Your story is incredible. I'm going to do my best today as an interviewer to bring it out of you in a unique way. But where are you at now? What are you up to? What are some things you're involved in?
Yeah, well, I'm here in sunny Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, PA, where we're encountering all kind of floods from this torrential rain that's passing through the United States. I'm staying active and busy. I have my coaching business, and I'm playing volleyball now and basketball for the National Senior Games. I just picked up volleyball, love the game, never played it, competitively. And my teammates are great. They're teaching me. They're very patient. And I'm hoping to be able to, compete in volleyball as well as basketball for the next senior games in 2025 in Des Moines, Iowa.
What an inspiration. That's great. So why I keep saying that, folks, is this is not a unique story of someone who's picking up volleyball for the first time. You've had some amazing things happen in your life. But talk about your book, how it started, why you write it, all the things that have come out of it, because it's awesome. I'm excited to read it. I'm going to order it on Amazon today.
Well, better than that, I'll send you a signed copy.
Oh, thank you. I would love that.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on the show. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, like in your situation as a player, you never expected to get that foot injury that you had that, really was like a thorn in your side kind of a deal. In my case too, I was on my way to work one morning and I was at a stoplight. I had the green light. I didn't actually go through the green light as soon as it, started, because I got a text from a guy that I was supposed to be meeting at 9:00. He didn't have the address of our office. So I looked behind me and there was nobody coming. So I thought, well, I'll just text him, 15 seconds of my green light expired. I put my phone down, I took the wheel, drove forward, and bam, a guy going, they think 50 or 60 miles an hour, ran the red light, obviously didn't know there was a red light there, and slammed right into my driver's side door, practically folding my car in half.
Wow.
And I think the thing that saved my life was I did not expect him to hit me, so I didn't tense up. I just remember the sound of impact, grabbing my steering wheel and then just twisting. And that twisting was so forceful that it just broke my pelvis in 7 places. And as a result of that twist, I had 7 pelvic fractures, 5 spinal fractures. My diaphragm was ruptured, my lung collapsed, I had internal bleeding, my bladder was punctured by the bones in the front of my pelvis. I didn't know any of that, but it changed my life dramatically, because I went from going to work to going to an emergency room and spending the next month and a half in, ICU, then step down, then skilled nursing, and then coming home and being in a wheelchair for months, waiting to find out whether or not I was going to be able to walk normally again,
Your
not
life,
alone play basketball or any other sport.
yeah, you were very active before that.
Yes, yeah, it was. And, I've always been active, and that was my identity. I'm sure you can relate, once an athlete, always an athlete. And this whole change of lifestyle, like going from being able to do anything to being in a wheelchair and not being able to, bear weight on my, to stand up. I didn't stand up for, I think, close to 30 days,
Oh,
and then when I stood up, right, it was like, I found out my left knee, it was almost like getting clipped,
oh,
with my knee, the way my body twisted. I had an MCL tear, I had posterior ligament tear, I had fractures to my fibula head. It was non-life threatening, so it was kind of put on the back burner. We'll deal with it when we have to.
yeah.
And I was so discouraged because I had waited and waited and waited to stand up, and now I'm able to stand up, and now I'm like, really, that was my good side, my left side, because I had more fractures on my right side. So until January, I wasn't allowed to put any weight on my right side, or very little weight. So I had to depend on my left leg, and my left knee was screwed up. So, it was ups and downs for a really long time.
When Paula says, once an athlete, always an athlete, that spirit, you played basketball at Penn State back in the day.
Yes, I did. Yes. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
that always inspired me too. Once I found out about the National Senior Games, it's like I wanted to continue to play. And I've been able to recruit a lot of my old teammates. So one of our teams has a couple of our players from the era that I played at Penn State, back in the late 70s, and it's so much fun to reconnect with some of the Lady Lions, and everyone dusting off their sneakers. And the
Oh,
cool thing is, on a lot of our teams, it's not just our basketball team, but, we're dealing with people with knee replacement, hip replacements. One of my teammates had, an aortic aneurysm fixed, and they still keep coming back and keep playing.
yeah, life's too short. You got to keep going.
So there's hope for you, Colin, once you hit that magic age of 50.
Oh man, you know what? The thing I have in my back pocket, which I'm very excited about, I don't want to lose it. I'm still trying to go and play in the NFL. I feel great. The other thing about the NFL too is, by the time you get the answers to the test and you feel really confident, 28, 29, 30, you're on the way out of the league. If you're not a quarterback, or if you're not a kicker or a punter, where you don't get hit as much and you can have longevity. But the guys like me, once you turn 30, which I just did, you're really begging for your supper to get an opportunity, because by the time you entered the league at 23, there's 7 other classes of tight ends that have come in behind you. Plus the league has changed, right? And the different tight ends have become devalued, and this player becomes valued, and then it's a roster pinch at the end of the roster, and then you're off. That's just how it goes. But take me back to 1970 State College, because I am not a Penn State fan. I am a supporter. Pat Kraft, the AD, is a friend and a great man and a great person and great athletic director. And he was my athletic director, our athletic director at Temple when we beat Penn State the first time in 74 years.
I
So
know. I was looking
that
back
was a
on
big
that, and I
deal.
thought, oh, I wonder if you played when that happened.
And and you know what? They barely offered me coming out. There was all the Joe Pa Penn State stuff was going down then, all those crazy sad times. And then I transferred from Florida and I had a bunch of foot injuries and they released me my scholarship. And I went there and they didn't offer me a scholarship after they just gave me one, 24 months before that. So I was like, man, I guess Temple, I was not happy with at the time. I'm like, I want to one of these big state schools. That's one of the, I think I can play at that level. Well, it ended up being the best thing ever happened to me. And, I digress. I'm a Penn State supporter, not a fan, but take me back to State College in the 70s. Was Berkeley Creamery there back in the day or what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The old creamery,
It was better that way.
I mean,
sure.
It's fast. It's kind of weird to go back to campus. I don't go back regularly, but you walk those streets and you saw all the buildings, and now you come back and everything's been sort of rearranged. New things have been added, but the old are there, and you feel like you're in a Twilight Zone. It's like, I remember this being here, but it's no longer there. Like the creamery, it was this old building, but now it's this like really fancy, it has to accommodate the people kind of a deal.
Yeah. They come in droves there, right? Like those big state schools and
Yeah.
football. And now their hockey team's good. They have great women's sports. Like they really are. I call them the University of Florida of the North, because I love my Gators and really good in all sports, but there's no palm trees and you can't hang out in the pool in March.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, not in that wind tunnel up there. When I was there, everybody started in East Halls and you had to go through parking lot 80, which is no longer there. There's some buildings there. And it was like this open area that was kind of between the mountains and the hills, and it was a wind tunnel. And it was like the tundra, you just hunkered down and trudged forward. You would see people with dog sleds and, coming across there. And you're like, will I make it to class today?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely not like that anymore. All right. So take me into your I guess your health journey from, okay, I'm getting out of a wheelchair to I'm moving again to I'm taking more steps through physical therapy to now I'm going to coach on it because I'm so passionate about it. And now I'm competing internationally because I'm healthy and I want to be, and you're a spokesperson, you're a leader, you're a mentor. So like, take me from like the wheelchair to the grind of rehab to like, now I'm healthy to now I'm going to coach on it.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a long journey, but it's very, very inspirational to me, for me in particular, because when I came to the realization of everything that was wrong with me, because I didn't know for a couple weeks post, the injury, because, I was like sedated for a really long time. I was on a ventilator and things, and they were saving my life. So it wasn't like they were going to sit down and explain to me everything that was wrong. So as I started to piece things together, being an exercise physiologist, my background is cardiac rehab. So I understand the whole physiological training aspect of, inactivity, sedentary lifestyle, how that impacts your cardiac, fitness level, your muscular, capacity and things like that. And I'm sitting in this wheelchair every day thinking, losing more muscle tone, more cardiovascular fitness. And it starts to eat on you. Like, and at that point, until I was able to walk, they weren't sure, what I was going to be able to do. Because one of the pelvic fractures, which was the most serious, was on my sacrum. If you can imagine your sacrum, those holes where the sciatic nerve roots come, and the nerve roots come from your spinal cord and they form the sciatic nerve. The right side of my sacrum, through those holes, the whole thing snapped off. So, I remember Dr. Maloney, my pelvic surgeon, she came in one day and said, hey, so can you move your foot? I had no idea why she was asking me that, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, I moved it up and down, and she got this big smile and just kind of walked away. And I was like, wonder what that was about,
Tell me, doc, please tell me what you're referring to.
Yeah,
I know
right.
what I'm talking about. I promise.
Exactly. So it wasn't like anybody was going to guarantee me, yes, you're going to be able to run, jump, do anything. It was like, you're going to get better because, truthfully, the human body, it gets injured. It is determined to heal to some capacity. And this is one of the things that I try to help my clients realize is that you have an injury, you have a surgery, an elective surgery, knee replacement, hip, whatever. Immediately after surgery, your body is in healing mode. And if you're not attuned to that and working with your body to give it what it needs, nutrition wise, rest, exercise, those types of things, that window of healing is going to close. And you're going to get to a certain point of recovery, but you may not get to your full potential. And so, I knew this, but I didn't know the full extent of like how much I was going to need. So as the journey, like as you mentioned, like, I was in a wheelchair, then I was able to stand. I didn't actually start physical therapy, outpatient physical therapy until mid-January because, I had to wait until I was stable enough to bear weight, for my pelvis and everything and, all the other injuries. So when I did start, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was, how physical therapy goes with, for athletes, professional athletes, your physical therapy is designed to get you back out on the field. With, insurance-based physical therapy, it's to get you whatever the prescription is written for to get you functional.
Which is crazy because
totally.
And my wife is she's a geriatric physical therapist. So
interesting.
So I have this other knowledge, but experience of her talking about it and how it's like I got to discharge someone today and they still need me for the next of course they can do certain things, but like they're going to regress the minute I walk out the door. Like so I have, first of all, a ton of respect for that profession. I've had many and many of folks I've worked with professionally, but also from her background of like, but people don't understand, and we'll get into this because you're a health coach as well. Physical therapists are way more important than what people even realize. Like people should see a physical therapist, in my opinion, once a week. They should give you a program and you should do that. Like if you have the ability to do it, go do it. Because it will help you age way better. Like she's constantly coaching on like picking up heavy stuff, like pick up. It's like crazy. That's how all your injuries happen at home. And I've seen it with folks in my family who don't have balance anymore or don't have any strength because why would I want to be strong? It's like, no, you want to be strong so you can live healthy. If you ignore it now, how do you expect it to do it when you're older and you don't have as much driving force to do it?
That's right. That's right. And to your point too, Colin, it's like you may have like sprained your ankle, let's say, but and you're doctoring that, but you don't realize how it's a chain reaction. It goes up, your quads maybe get, weaker, your back may be getting weaker, because you're focused on one thing. And that's the thing I hear from a lot of physical therapists I know, they can only treat the involved situation, whether it's a knee, they can't treat the whole body, and people need to incorporate that new therapy into their whole body. So as you said, you can walk with confidence, you have balance, you're using like functional, like, methodology to increase being able to like reach and go up steps and carry things. And it's not just about the injured spot, it's about the whole body. And when people realize that, and that's where I think my coaching comes in as a big value add, because I help people understand what their therapist is really, why their therapist is telling them, you need to do this regularly, and how you're supposed to be doing it. And I saw when I was in PT, people were like doing arm lifts, because they have a rotator cuff injury. Well, the first couple of weeks you're there, you're one-on-one with your therapist, but as time goes on, you're doing your thing. And before you know it, it's just like they're chit-chatting with the person next to them and just going through the motions, not realizing what they're supposed to be, actually what muscles are supposed to be engaged. And I help people to understand their body and how to utilize their whole body to approach the healing of their broken part.
That's why I love Arnicare too. Like, and that's how we've connected too with the homeopathic stuff. Like for me, I've had
Oh,
so much stuff you can't imagine. I played for 4 NFL teams. I've worked out for several others. I played for 2 minor league teams. I played for 2 college teams. I played for pretty much 2 youth high school teams. Like I've been around
sheesh.
every drug to make you feel better, every cream, right? And who knows what's in it? And half the time, you better hope it's the right stuff's in it because you can't fail a drug test, right? Or do you want that label?
Oh,
You don't want that label. Like I just want to feel better, and so that's why I love Arnicare, honestly, and that's how we've connected because the homeopathic stuff, I always bring it up on here. Like any of the gels, the creams, my hands get really sore a lot. So I mean, I know it's had a major impact on you. It's had a major impact on me, and for example, like we talked about, the chain reaction. So the reason why a lot of NFL guys get massages, obviously, because you feel like crap, but really it's to work out the knot. So if I had a knot in my neck, I'm
ah,
tight in my core, then I'm a tight hip, then I'm a tight knee, and then I lead to a lower body injury that could end your, career, which has happened to me
exactly.
a time or two. So I love what Arnicare has, honestly, because it's natural stuff and it's just enough. It's not this crazy painkiller where I can go out there and run through all, but it's enough to help me heal and get range of motion and get back in the pool and get moving.
Oh yeah, I love Arnicare. I mean, I carry it with me all the time too, in my backpack or whatever. And you're right. I met Arnicare, the people at Arnicare through this National Senior Games. They're one of the sponsors there too. And I'm telling you, I tell people all the time. I just sprained my ankle a couple weeks ago. Playing volleyball. Like I was playing volleyball, and then we had basketball practice after volleyball, so I didn't change my shoes. I'm using volleyball shoes to play basketball, and I was, going laterally and I twisted my ankle. Well, I started using Arnicare. I mean, by the time I got home, it was purple, like, blue. It was a sprain. And,
Yep.
using Arnicare, the properties that homeopathic, remedy in it enhances your immune system, your own natural immune system to get to the injured part and get rid of that inflammation. So swelling goes down, the bruising, decreases quicker than normal. It's incredible and it's affordable. And I really love seeing the whole company of Arnicare, their products get more notoriety because it's a great product.
Yeah, they're great people, great product. We've absolutely loved working with them. So take me into your book though, because like, how does this process go of writing a book? Like, it seems like it's not an easy thing. Did you write it yourself? Did you ever go try? I should know this. I should be diving into this, but how does this go? Because I know people are always asking me, like, "Hey, I want to write a book. How do we do it?" I'm like, "Oh, let's find out."
Yeah, right. Well, I always wanted to write a book, but didn't have a topic. This happened, and it was like, I fortunately knew of this woman, Bonnie Bazowski, and she is a book coach, and her whole emphasis is like, does your business need a book? And so the purpose of the name of my book is called Driving Force. How one woman recovered from I can't remember the subtitle, but it's Driving Force is the main piece of it. But it's all about like how I recovered, like the 6 principles that I discovered, going through this type of recovery, and how I can use this to help other people, in their own journey of a recovery. But Bonnie was able to help me, get all the thoughts of what happened during my recovery, down on paper. And then once we saw everything, then we put it together in a logical progression. So I didn't write the book until probably a year and a half after my accident. And, most of my recovery, because the way it played out, my accident was September 13th, 2016. I started physical therapy the end, like mid-January. And one of the interesting things I did is because I had so many like structure, like vertical loading type injuries, I started swimming as my comeback injury, comeback exercise.
It's the
And
best.
yeah, because then I could be horizontal and I could go further. I couldn't go much vertically. Like my neck would start to hurt, my back would hurt, my knee was hurting, that kind of a thing. And, using swimming, I started swimming, I think in March. By August, I was actually able to be swimming almost a full hour, like nonstop, but I have to qualify that. I researched this. I got one of those training snorkels, so I didn't
Yeah.
have to turn my head because I was so deconditioned, but I had that. I had flippers, and then I got those little hand paddles. So I had a progression that I would do every time I swam. I would start off easy, and then I would start to add more. But psychologically, swimming enabled me to feel powerful again. I saw myself, as you're looking down and you're swimming, I saw myself moving, and and it kept building, I wanted to go more. I wanted to go harder. I wanted to do, as much as I could. So, I was doing that. And so like by August, I was almost, I would say 85, 90% back. But then somehow I re-ruptured my diaphragm. I was swimming so hard. I was really pulling. I felt this stabbing pain in my chest. And I thought, don't tell me I'm having a heart attack, And I thought, I'm going to keep swimming and see, if it doesn't go
All right,
away.
so all the people listening right now, they're like, well, there's my reason not to swim. Get in the pool. Get in the pool. This is not an example that happens to everybody.
No,
This is someone who's
right. I mean, I had an injured diaphragm. I had a diaphragm injury, and it obviously re-ruptured. So, so then that really put me back, and I ended up having to have another surgery in December of 2017 to fix my diaphragm because it wasn't the left side wasn't functioning. I mean, it could function, but it just couldn't pull down far enough to allow my left lung to fully expand, and it was impacting my aerobic capacity, that type of a thing. And interestingly enough, like my surgery, my diaphragm surgery was December 17th. I think Ryan Shazier's spinal cord injury was like he was in I was in Presby Hospital. I think he may have had his surgery in Presby, but then he went to Mercy Hospital for his rehab. And I originally went to Mercy when, my accident occurred because I was only 4 blocks away. I mean, you talk about the way the universe works, I nearly die 4 blocks away, and here the number one trauma, center, Mercy Hospital, was right down the block. So, I got to the hospital in record time. But
wow.
Yeah, I mean, so back to what we were talking about, like this perseverance thing, it's like, ups and downs. Every time I had to turn around, something more would go wrong. And that's the big thing I think I try to help people see is that setbacks are part of healing. They're going to happen. And you have to have a mental, like mindset to be able to, overcome this. And that's really what Driving Force is about. My book, about what are those principles that you need to build into your mindset, because you have to have a game plan. You guys have a game plan for every game.
Yeah.
You know what you're supposed to do and how, and has to coordinate. And, people have to have that for their healing. And if they don't, they're going to get a level of healing, but they may not reach their full potential.
Wow. I love it. I want to dive into the perseverance side of things and the advice, like the deep rootedness. Like, where does it burn from for you? Because I got to keep swimming. I got to keep doing it. People don't have that, right? It's gravity and the world is just telling us all to sit down on the couch, right? Like, get on our phone, eat a bag of chips, right? But like, I can't do it. Some of us can't do it. You can't do it, right? And there's that burn, whether it's for business and it's sport, then turns to business. It's health to even better health. Like, you've met a lot of successful people. You play volleyball with a lot of successful individuals. You play college basketball at the highest level. Like, what's the common thread that you see that burn, that earn to do more?
Well, and that's a really good question, because I have to be honest. It was like, as I was going through my recovery, I didn't set these high goals because I still wasn't sure I was going to be able to do anything. So all I did was that burn part was it was like, can I walk to the end of the street? You know what I mean? Once I did that, I'm like, I did it. The burn became, I did it. I did it. Every little milestone that I set and I reached, it was like, wonder if I could do more. I wonder if I can do even more than that. And so, it started to rekindle that whole drive, that I had as a younger athlete and a business owner and all that type of a thing. But that wasn't like what really, really drove me at first. It started to develop. It started to build, kind of like that rock, the momentum, the snowball effect, that and I think that's an important piece too for a lot of people, because they may not be, an athlete, but they have a life. And if they want to live their life to the fullest potential, whatever that potential is, they have to set some type of driving force into what they're doing. And if they don't, like you said, it's like they're going to end up on the couch eating potato chips. Life is over.
Yep.
They're on that downhill thing now, but I wasn't ready to give up. But again, I didn't set the expectations of I'm going to be back running and all this type of thing. But it happened. I did get back. In 2018, I ran a 5K and I missed third place by 30 seconds in my age bracket. And I was shocked. I never expected to be able to do that. And it was like always this, and I think that's another big thing for a lot of people too, is like, if you don't set this high expectation, you have an expectation, but it's not the highest, and you reach it, it's like you succeeded. A lot of times people set themselves up to fail rather than setting themselves up to succeed. And that's what I try to do for people is let's pick something that you're going to succeed at, not this over the top expectation that if you don't get it, it's going to really sideline you mentally.
Wow. I love it. That's such good stuff there. So for you, like moving into what's next, like what's the next hurdle you're trying to accomplish? Because I know you got something in your mind. I know you have all the games, you have the stuff you're playing in, but like what's the next thing that you want to accomplish?
Well, I have to say, the Senior Olympics, Senior Games, they inspire me to the wazoo, right? Like I'm going to be turning 68 on Saturday, right? And volleyball's a brand new thing for me. I don't know how much longer basketball is going to be in the cards here, because everyone's getting older and slower, and more problems are happening. I mean, luckily for me, I still have good knees, and I have all my body parts, but I want to add more sports. I want to try new things. I was really inspired. Pittsburgh hosted the 24 games or 23 games. And, I met some incredible athletes, runners, and I never did track and field either. I went to Catholic school. I think you went to Catholic school too,
Yep.
right? Yeah. And we didn't have sports, for women. We didn't have a football team. We had baseball for guys. All we had for women was basketball.
Old school.
Yeah, it was real old school. I mean, luckily we had a gym,
Yeah. You shared with the boys.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
for me, it's like going forward, I want to try new things. I want to see what I can do. Like my neighbor and I, she's like 9 years younger than me. We hike together. There's a big city park near where I live called Frick Park. And, we actually did the Rachel Carson Challenge, which is a 35-mile one-day, excursion. You could run it, you could walk it, you could do it, but you have to do 35 miles in one day. And we shocked ourselves. We trained for it. I helped with the training, because we were monitoring our heart rate and getting our fitness levels and things like that coordinated. But, I there's things like that. I'd like to hike places, I'd like to challenge me beyond what I can do now. And I think that's going to keep me young, healthy, and moving forward, because I have a vision.
Yeah. You have a vision, yeah, and you've created those things for yourself too. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to fill my free time with. I think the one thing as we start to wrap things up, that a lot of younger folks, right? My parents struggle with it. I am now struggling with it. And a lot of people struggle with it, is talking to their family and friends about getting healthy, right? It's hard to talk to people about it, right? Some people hold it against me that because I'm a pro athlete, it's easy for me, which it's not. I've had the burn in me, whether I'm playing professionally or I'm not. And then B, like, any advice to folks that are like trying to talk to people about, hey, like mom and dad or grandpa and grandma or friend, like, hey, like, do you need help? How can I help? Or this is what needs to happen, right? Because you don't want to sever a relationship. It's not worth it. But you also want to be a good friend and be loyal and have passion and care, and you don't want it to be misinterpreted and hurt anything. So if you have any advice there, I think that's golden, because I know you're in these games, you train and live and work out with like older adults, right? That have either somebody's talking to them about it or they're talking to someone else about it saying, hey, you need to get healthy.
Right. Yeah. And that's a really good point. I mean, you can't force anybody to do anything, and I think, you're right. If everyone knows they should be doing something more to stay healthy. But I would say the biggest advice I would give to somebody is start small. Find something like activity wise, find something that you think you'll enjoy or that you have enjoyed in the past. Find a friend or do it on your own, but just get out and do something small on a consistent basis. And that's the key, is the consistent basis piece. Is no matter what you do, even if you change your diet a little, you have to build in a consistency, and that consistency has to be built on success. You can't decide you're never going to eat candy again or, sweets.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to last so long, and then you're going to you're going to break your promise, and then, you quit. But if you stick with something that is doable, that you enjoy, studies show people that do things that make them feel good, then they're more likely to repeat it. And the more you repeat it, the more the body adapts to that. And once the body adapts, then mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you start feeling more and more whole. And the whole, the more wholeness you feel becomes your wellness gauge. I tell people all the time, your medical team, your PT, everybody, involved in that is going to help you to heal. And healing is a certain process. It's body driven, right? Getting well, your well-being is that mind, body, spirit piece that is your responsibility. And that's what you have to bring to the table with your medical team, is your outcome, your outlook, your expectations for getting well as they help you heal. Yeah. And when those two come together, you can have remarkable recoveries.
Yeah, you can. That's a great point. I'll add to that too, the financial side, because everyone says, oh, it's too expensive. My argument is, listen, you're either going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it in bills later. That's what I always have. And I'm not the first person to say that, right? I've read that and heard it, and a bunch of people say it. It's like now on social media too, like you got nutritionists on your phone. You can, I mean, literally there's so much stuff like, the organic craze went crazy, and I'm listening to this stuff now. It's like, hey, just buy organic fruits. If you're in a pinch financially, you buy organic fruits, you buy your vegetables, normal, like stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's a good tidbit. Like there's so many ways to improve just little things. Like you said, are you passionate for it? Like if you don't have time to work out, but cooking's your passion, then cook healthy. And so,
garden. If you garden, there's your organic food. You know what I mean? If you can't afford to buy it, grow it. Right? You get the exercise of gardening. You get the joy of seeing what your, the labor of, the fruits of your labor kind of a thing. There's so many little ways that people can stay healthy but like I was saying earlier, you really, like, a lot of people think if I start eating organic, I'm going to have this tremendous change. Well, that may or may not happen. It depends on where your body chemistry is. Right. But, it's like, first, I always tell people the first thing to do is analyze, what are you eating now? And how can you improve on that? Because most people don't realize what they eat. They don't realize how much movement they do or don't do. That's why these Fitbit watches and Apple watches, they've taken off and become an incredible tool, because it's feedback on your level of lifestyle. And when you're able to see what I'm doing, now you have room to make improvements.
Yeah.
But you can't just throw like hearsay, like suggestions on top of not knowing what you're doing. It's going to be a hit or miss thing. You're not going to know what actually changed, because you don't know where your starting point is.
No question. Yeah, it's the great hurdle. It's the great debate. I struggle with it, our friends struggle with it, like health and communicating with other people, and then you're trying to create a like-minded community. I think CrossFit gets really bad buzz to it. As someone who was like anti-against it as a football player, because you all hear about people doing their backs or doing an elbow or something. You're like, actually, no, you go in there and they say, do as you please. Here's the diagram. Here's what we want you to do. So I'll go with my wife who loves it and loves to work out together. I'm a solo workout person.
Okay.
Because when I'm playing, I'm always with everybody. So I kind of like it. It's my mental break. But for those listening too, like get into CrossFit, the gym we're a member at here, like in TrueCore, I'll shout them out in Annapolis. Like there's people in there that are not in great shape, but they show up and they alter the workout and they find ways to do it. And it's all about like strength, endurance, community. So find that community. You have huge community, obviously, with your basketball stuff, your volleyball stuff. Good luck in the national senior games. Like that is so cool. I'll be dialing in. We'll be tuning in. We'll be tuning in.
And you know, the community I'm trying to build too is like, you know, working with more people, you know, because I don't just work with athletes, you know, I really have a passion for people, anybody that is struggling to get well, because, you know, like I said, they're going to heal. You know, your medical team is going to do everything possible to get you to heal. But, you know, I have a passion for helping people get well. And, you know, whether you're an athlete or not, everybody has the capacity to live a fulfilling life. And the older you get, the closer the end point is coming.
Gravity. Gravity gets heavier.
You know what I mean? And it's like, why not go out of this life doing the things that, you know, bring you the greatest joy, whether it's playing with your grandkids or traveling or pickleball or, you know, whatever. You know, it's like, don't sell yourself short.
No,
you know, go for things.
As the older I've gotten, I think I found the greatest joy in like working at everything from nutritionist to training to being a better husband to everything, cooking, whatever. And then because I've made those, and not being a better husband to sacrifice, but I'm throwing it into that category because I've made that work and that sacrifice throughout the week. I like to have beers. I like to eat bar food. I like to watch games. Like then I enjoy that better, and you're able to enjoy it more because you know that you're not in a hole going into this. And if you have a couple drinks and whatever, you don't go down into this massive hole because you've been training and living, and you get up the next day and go for a swim. So that balance is great for me. When I lose that balance, things are not great for me. And I'm not in a good place. So no, I mean, you got to find what makes you tick and what makes you happy. And then, you know.
Yeah. And that's right. And to your point too, about, you know, like if you have something, you know, steady in your lifestyle, like your exercise and your, you know, the way you do. Yeah. And you do have a couple beers, you're right. You know, it's not going to knock you down. And I tell people, like, people that are going in for knee replacements, right? You know, everyone's talking, their surgeons, everybody will tell them, you know, do the prehab, you know, like get your quad, you know, legs, your quads and your hamstrings, everything built up so that because the surgery is going to knock you down a peg. But I take people and say to them, it's like, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? You know I'm like an 8 or a 9, right? If I had to have a knee replacement, it's going to knock me down to like 6 or 7, but I'm still above halfway. If you're already a 2 or a 3, you're going to get knocked down to 1 or 0.
You can't keep
borrowing. Long haul, you know?
You can't keep borrowing. You can't keep.
And especially the older you get, you know, the rebound isn't as high.
I feel it
you
from
can
21
still
to
rebound.
30.
Yeah.
No doubt. Sorry. I feel it from 21 to 30. Just that.
There you go.
That jump, right? The swelling, the things like that. So, like I said,
the flexibility starts to like really go down unless you work at it. It's incredible. Some people that can maintain their flexibility and their, you know, agility and things along those lines. But it is interesting, isn't it? Like what you're experiencing, how age starts to gnaw away at that edge, you know?
No doubt. And you gotta, right? You can't go have beers 2-3 days a week, right? It's 1 to 0 days a week, because then you're taking even more out of it, right? So that's the rub or whatever it may be. And I think, you know, it's even funny, like someone like my father-in-law, Fred, who's he's in great shape, but he's like, I'm not flexible. I'm like, when's the last time you stretched? Like,
good point.
It's a practice, right? Just like anything. I'm extremely flexible and have great bend because my dad harped on it like crazy, actually more than strength training. And I'm a strong player, but not in the weight room strong, because I can bend and get into places and have good pad level, and I'm lower than people, and I can bend and move. And so that's led me to be actually less injury prone. I had one bad foot injury, 2, 3 in like 1 year. And then I didn't have another injury until I went 2012. 2013 was all a mess. I went from there until 2022. I didn't have a serious injury. So
wow,
that was
that's remarkable.
It was a good run for me. And I've made some major changes to how my body was made and how I trained and my diet. And, so nonetheless, we could go all day.
But see, that's the thing, Colin, you looked into it and then you found what worked for you.
I had good people in my life that I listened to.
No,
Yeah, that's the number one thing is like, you got to be a great listener. I am not the smartest. I'll never be the smartest person in it. I try not to be the smartest person in the room, right? They say you're in the wrong room, but like, I'm just like, I'm just drawn to like people that know what the heck they're talking about. And then I could take that info and then I can go coach it to kids or give it to someone else. Like I coach football down in Cape May, and they're like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Like virtually, it's great. I love it. And I give advice to kids, or coaches, and they're like, man, all this info. I'm like, guys, this isn't mine. This is like something I stole from Nick Saban, Matt Rule, Mike Tomlin, and like 4 nutritionists that I went with in the NFL and college. Like, this isn't me.
Wow.
this is the people,
Right.
So
it's that ripple effect.
Yeah,
like that. And that's why I think we're all here. We talk about community, there's the community of athletes, but there's the community of people and the community of wellness. It's like, what I have, I share with someone, it can spread out. Like what you're doing, it spreads out. And those ripples, all those waves hit each other. And before you know it, we're impacting a larger area, footprint there.
And we're on a podcast talking about Arnicare and all the good stuff they have. And you're on here and we're connected now. And we'll get together next time I'm in Pittsburgh and go to whatever, get a famous sandwich there, whatever they got. I know they got a lot of good food.
Mayonnaise. No, you don't want to eat it. That's a heart attack waiting to happen,
Hey, that's my one meal, right? I can have a beer and a panini sandwich.
That's your week's meal.
That's great. Well, Paul, listen, I appreciate you coming on. It was great stuff. Good luck with the games. Good luck with your new endeavor in volleyball. Be careful in pickleball now. You'll be fine because you're in great shape.
No, I've actually hurt myself a couple times. I haven't been playing.
It's all that cutting. It's that bounding like that.
It is.
You're not even if you're playing basketball and volleyball, it's like quick. It's tough. You got to be careful.
It sure is. So, I know my bounds, so I'm taking a break for a bit.
There you go. Well, good stuff. Thanks so much. Guys, check out Paul's book. Check out Paul on social media, and we'll make sure to pump it all out here before the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. You have a great day.